Hi there, welcome to the Bradbury Young channel. Now I've got a pattern that I want to, as it were, modify or change. I want to turn it into something else. It is the Kwik Sew 3555. Now this is a shirt. It says here Mrs. Shirts in extra small, small, medium, large and extra large. So I've been looking at this pattern and I've made it loads of times. I've got quite a number of these shirts that I've made. And I get thinking, what if that would make a good shirt dress? Is it easily convertible? So I'm going to have a go at trying to actually take it from being a shirt into a shirt dress. So I think what I'll do is have a look, or start with the shirt that I've already got. So the shirt itself, this is one that I'd made quite some time ago. So I've got quite a few of these shirts and they're very comfortable. I did make a few amendments to the shirt from the original pattern. First of all, it's meant to have shirt tails. That means it's got that shaped edging hemming on it, and I wanted a straight hem because I don't really tuck these in, so nice to have a nice and straight hem all the way around. The other thing that I amended was the fact that this is pretty much straight up and down with very little shaping. There's a little bit shaping actually in the seam here, but other than that there isn't any. So I put a couple of darts in the back. These are not on the original pattern, but I decided I wanted that little bit of extra shaping. And that for me just helped to just nip it in a bit more and give that a nice little bit more closer fit. Pretty much everything else is the same. Tiny little bit of amendment on the cuffs really, I think there was, but other than that it's pretty much as the pattern describes. So there we go, it's a nice shirt dress that's really quite easy to make. It did take a little bit of time because I always find the collar a bit taxing, and of course you've got to put the sleeve head in nicely, but other than that, yeah, it's a nice shirt. Thing is though, how can I turn it into a shirt dress? So the first thing to do really was to look at the pattern pieces that I've already got and decide on which ones I could change to turn it into a shirt dress. So I think I better have a look at those pattern pieces. So I've been looking at my pattern pieces that I've got here and I'm thinking, which ones do I actually need to change? Which ones do I want to be changing? I'm thinking, is there a need to do all of them? I'm thinking actually not. Really, the only ones I need is going to be the front ones, which is, of course, the front closure with your buttons, and the back. They're the only ones really that I need to lengthen. The rest of the top pretty much is the same. You know, the sleeves, the collar, cuffs and all that. Nothing there will change, and the yoke on the back, that's going to remain as it is without any amendments. It's just the length that I need to change and how that length is going to be incorporated into the pattern pieces. So I get my two pattern pieces out that I actually need and we'll start there. So this is actually the back piece with the only amendment on it from the original is that I put in a dart. I had actually put it here, I know you can't really see it, it's a bit light, and then I moved it from this point, I moved it across so it's a bit further in. Other than that, it's cut on the fold and you got pretty much a back piece. The yoke fits on to it at the top here. Yeah, not much more I can say about it. I just need to decide how much longer I want this and how I'm going to deal with this shaping here. Am I just going to continue it straight out, or am I going to change the shape a little bit? I'm not quite sure yet. I'm just going to want to have it longer more than anything really. And this is the front piece that again pretty much I've got to do just the same thing. I've just got to extend it and make it longer. Now this is, you cut two pieces of this left and right. It's quite wide here, but actually this is the part that gets turned over twice, so it ends up at this point, and you create the effectively your button facing piece, so it'll be 3 layers there. Now the thing with this is I have to make sure that as I extend it I keep that correct and squared up. So again, really it is just this edge. Do I extend it as it is? Do I change the shape slightly? Don't know. This top end just doesn't change up here. So the collar, the way the yoke fits, the sleeve, that'll all remain exactly as it currently is. So this is the front piece. That's the top section, which effectively has not changed at all. But what I have done is I've added in X amount of length. Actually, this is the line from which I've extended it. So from here to here, it's 44 centimetres. But then I have actually also shortened this very slightly, but not really by much. Well, I say not much. See this line here? I've drawn I'm not sure if these lines are really visible very well to the camera, but there's a line here from where the original length was. So as you can see, there's a bit of difference in the length because I decided I did want it to flare out, but in a slightly different way to what this did. If I followed this line, I would have just come out here to, here it is, to come out just to about here, which I wanted to flare out a little more than that. So I've been experimenting with a curvature. This will give it a side curvature, give it to flare out on the side. And I've also changed this angle a little bit, give it a little bit more shaping. Thing is though, I've been looking at the lines on this and trying to work out how is this going to give me shape on the front. So, well, that is the tricky part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at the back and I'm going to come back to this because it left me sort of a bit stumped for a while as to how I can put more shaping on the front without doing too much more work. And this is the back section. Now up top here, this is pretty much the same. Again, I drawn a line as to where it originally came to, and effectively I've done like I've done with the front. I've changed the curvature slightly and given it this flare out, sort of flare out on the side. Now on the back, I'm not too worried about putting in or changing the shape on the back. It's done on the fold, but I was umming and ahhing about the dart. Now the dart as it was, actually I've moved it because the dart, if I remember rightly, was actually down a little bit. It was sort of like here, and what I've done is effectively to move that dart up. But then I was looking at it thinking, well, it's still over quite a bit, and now that this is going to be a dress rather than a shirt, I wanted to bring it closer in. I wanted to change that shaping of this bottom section by having a dart here. So I put this first dart in, which I looked at and gone, well, it's longer and it's a bit further in. And then, well, looking at it, I'm thinking, is it going to be enough? So I've actually drawn a second dart in, which is even longer, which is it's about 40 centimetres, and it's a little bit wider. So I've got this definite darting, and this line here should be near to my natural waist that I've got. And then as you see, it sort of doesn't flare out much until it actually gets to about here. So we've got this bit, it's going to be closer, slightly closer fitting, but then it will flare out. And hopefully the dart where it is will give a better shaping for this bottom section without having to put anything else in the bottom part. I don't really want to be cutting this open because it is cut on the fold, so it's one whole piece, which makes it quite a big piece because that's quite wide there now at that point. But anyway, back to that front piece. So back with this front piece, what am I doing with it? Well, I've been looking at splitting it up. Maybe one of my considerations initially was to actually put a V shape in there, a piece of material. I think it's called a godit slit, I'm not sure, just what I was looking up, but I thought it wasn't quite right. It wasn't going to look how I wanted it to just put a line down, open it up and put an extra piece in, triangular piece. I didn't think that would fit with what I'm trying to achieve. So my consideration is to actually chop up this front section, but therein lies a problem, because if I chop it up, how am I going to put it back together? And my thought was actually I can put in a pleat. And actually I'm going to put in, is it a box pleat or an inverted box pleat? Not quite sure what to call it. I'm not that skilled in technical knowledge and what things are called. But what I've ended up with is this. 2 pieces. One that goes there, like that. This is that side of it. And then I also have this piece, which goes onto this side. Now the reason that looks like they're way too wide is because at this point, what I've marked here, is going to be the centre point of the box pleat. Now the clever thing with this, I've decided, is that here, where it joins, let me just move the bigger one out of the way. Here, where these 2 points are going to meet, when I've got my material, they will meet together like that, and I will sew it down that side. Then I will open it up, but that seam there where it's joined will form the inside area of the first box pleat. So that's the centre, so this will get folded back. This whole section will get folded back like that. So that first seam will be hidden away and you won't see it. So that means then I don't have a piece that ends up being so wide I can't find pieces of material to actually cut it out from. I actually get to cut it out from 2 pieces. And also with doing that, it just helps me to be able to form onto this centre point for this box pleat that will hopefully allow that to work better rather than trying to faff around with it too much, hopefully. I also want to put a pocket in. So what I need to do is to cut out a pocket shape that I want to have to put in here. And there we go, a pocket shape. Hopefully that should be plenty big enough for me to get my hand in and put a few things in there. So, and that's going to sit in here. So it's going to sit close to the top of the skirt. And now the reason I put in this straight edge along the top, I was thinking of putting that into the seam line. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not really very good or skilled with pockets, so I'm not going to do that. I've dropped it down a little bit, and effectively it won't quite sit in the seam line. It'll sit just below it. But then what I'll do is, because it's straight, I can then take a piece of material, take something that I can then take from this and stitch it onto this seam line to give it a bit more anchorage, so that it's not going to move about, or if I put something heavy in there it's not going to be a problem. So yeah, pockets as well. So I think it's all coming together. So I've got my pattern pieces ready now, the back, and then I've got my pocket. Sorry about the noise. The pocket. I've got the front top section, and it also gives me the front bottom section, which is the front skirt and the side skirt piece. Not to mention the other bits that I still need from the original pattern, which is like yoke and sleeve and collar and cuff pieces that I also will need to put this together. So I think first of all I need to get a mock-up made. Now here's my actual mock-up that I've managed to get done. I know I whipped it together real quick, but there you go. Now with this one, as you can see, I've got the skirt pieces here with this nice box pleat. I think it's a box pleat anyway, in the front here. A little bit of length to it, but then once the hem comes up, and then it does come out and bellows out at the side there, which is really quite nice. Now with this, I have kept the hip, not the hips, the waist quite low. My normal natural waist is here, but I didn't want the skirt section to come up to this point, so I'd actually dropped it down to here. So it's more like a dropped waist, sort of sitting on the high hip here. So it sits quite low down really, but I prefer that's how I wanted it. So really when I did that shaping from about here to here, it doesn't flare out, it starts to come out from there. So yeah, I think that's quite nice. Now the darts in the back, I did have a play around with these, and I did shift them around actually between the 3 different positions that I was actually initially looking at, and I did settle on the big long dart that I finally sort of decided I was going to do. It's the much longer one than any other. As you can see, it's quite a long dart. But that in itself helps to sort of bring that in a bit and give just a little bit more shaping to it. Now I was thinking I could put belt hooks or belt loops on it, but I'm not quite sure, because I mean it depends on the size of the belt, doesn't it? You know, if it's a thin one or a much wider belt. I will be putting pockets into this, and they're going to be going in at about there. So it's about normal place for me. I haven't put them in the mock-up, but I will be putting them in the main make. So what am I going to be making this shirt dress out of? Well, the material I've got is something I've used before. It was a duvet cover set, and I'd got plenty left over. I'd actually got 2 of these sets, I think, if I remember rightly. And it is this stuff. Now this is just the pillowcases, or at least one side of the pillowcases. Yeah, that's quite busy, isn't it? It's going to be that way up. So yeah, I imagine that will drive the eyes rather crazy, especially at a distance. But the whole thing is going to be that material. It's going to have long sleeves, and of course I'll put the collar on it and the cuffs and whatnot and everything else that I should. And hopefully it'll come together quite quickly. Well, here's all my pieces all cut out. I've got them all together, so ready now to actually start putting it together. Now the order construction is going to be a little bit different from what the shirt should be, because obviously I've not got the length and that skirt section to deal with on the shirt, so the order construction will differ, but not too much I don't think. So yeah, better get a move on with it. Well, I've got a number of pieces done now. This is the front skirt section. What I've done is I've done the darts in the back, and I've prepped the sleeve slot, and I've done the collar piece. These are pieces I always get done at the beginning because they're the fiddly bits, so I always prep them up first. Now I can actually start getting the big construction pieces together. Normally what I would do now is on the front I would get and turn over what is going to form the button placket, but I don't need to do that just yet, because this edge here is also going to form part of that button placket now, so I'm going to leave it because I need to construct the front skirt section that we're going to have. So this is the front skirt, this is the side skirt section, and I'm going to join it down here. That's where the top piece will be on, and this is where the hem is going to be. I say this is where the button part's going to be. So first of all I've got to join these two together and then create the dart that's going to go in. That's what these two marks are for here. I've got these tailor's tacks in, and they will help me to guide me in to get that pleat into this. So let's get them together and see how this dart goes. Well, I've got these two pieces pinned together, so now I just need to create the actual pleat. I've got 2 markers, one here and here, so I just need to match those up. Try and do that neatly, keep them nice and square. And now what I can do is this bit I've got to keep flat. I've got to try and get this to sit nicely. It's a bit fiddly, but I'm sure I'll get there. Open out this bit. Open out this side. I suppose the big thing here is trying to keep it all square and even, and then it should come together. And that's basically creating my pleat. What I'll do now is I will put a pins in just to secure it, press it slightly at the top there, and then stitch across with a holding stitch at about 10mm, and that will hold it all in place then, and that will be my my pleat. And just as it happens, as they would say in a very British programme, here's one I made earlier. This is actually the other side with it done now, so you can hardly see that there's a pleat there, but it is there, and it's held all in place with that stitch. That looks very nice. And as you can see, when I come to the back, that stitch line forms part of the back of the pleat, but you never see it because it's hidden away from that and that side. So there you go, nice pleat on the front there. Well, having got the front skirt section made, I just need to attach it now to the front top section, and then effectively that's pretty much one big piece that's ready. So now I can treat it as the front piece. Then what I can do is I can create the button placket on this side and attach a pocket on here, this side, and then we're moving on quite quickly then, hopefully. Well, I've managed to get on a little bit and get the fronts and backs together by putting the yoke on, which is quite simple because it's basically the same as doing the shirt. So that's a simple burrito method of putting it in. Now, of course, I've got a few more things still to do, but I thought I'd put it on just to see how it's coming along. I think it's coming along quite well. The front section, having created a long front and a long back section, I've got them together, so it's given me an idea, and I think the sizing seems just fine. These pleats are sitting really nicely in the right place where I want them. I know this material's busy, so it's not so easy to see. Pockets are ready to go, but before I do the sides up, I've got to put the collar on, put the sleeves on, and then I can do the sides. And so there's still quite a bit of work to do. But once I've got them done, we're nearing the finish line. But so I know I'd say I'm about halfway through on this, so better going to move on with it and see how long it takes me to get this next set of tasks done. Well, I finally managed to get the collar on, so the collar's nicely done, and I've got my sleeves on, and I've even put the cuffs on ready and sewn up the sides, so all the sides are done, so it is almost there. So what I've got next is I need to hem it, and I was and ahhing about the hem. I was going to turn it up like quite a wide hem, do it that way, but actually I'm thinking of doing it slightly differently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some bias tape and put that on there and just do a small turn up so I don't lose much on the length then, partly because there's like nearly 2 meters of hem to do here now, so it's going to be quite a bit of work to do to put that on. And then I've just got the buttonholes to do. Now I'm going to use these little almost like pearlescent style buttons that I've used these before. I've had loads of them, they're really great, work nice on here. And then I've just got to work out my spacing. Now I'm going to use the same sort of spacing that I've used on the shirt dress, which is normally 8 centimeters from center to center of button. So I know it's sort of about, if I can get my fingers on there, about that sort of spacing. I think it's about that sort of spacing between buttons, and I've got quite a few. Obviously need 2 for the cuffs as well, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Hem it and buttons, and then it'll be ready. And here we are, the finished item. Now I'd like to say it was quick and easy, but it wasn't. It did take me a lot longer than I expected, but it is finally done. Gone from a shirt to a shirt dress. Yeah, I think it's come out really quite nice. I know this material's quite busy, so some of the details aren't quite so easy to see, but the button placket's still the same. It just runs all the way down now to the bottom. Yeah, and that came out quite simple really. Adding the bottom bit on just made it look so much more brilliant because I was able to do these darts, and these darts have come out really nicely. It's really well set, I think, in here. Yeah, come out quite nicely indeed. I absolutely do think it's really nice. Fits really well. I like the fit of it, but then it was going to fit fairly well anyway because I'd already got the actual shirt to fit quite well without there being any issue in there. So yeah, so I was pretty sure I'd be able to get the actual dress part of it to fit as well. Just extended it really, just made it longer. That's all I've done with a bit of shaping, you know, some big darts in the back, and yeah. Very nice indeed, I think it is. Yeah, I really do like it. There's only one or two minor issues as I was making it that might need a little bit of tweaking. The one thing I do feel I need to change would be down on the hem and this line here. I think because of the way I was trying to get the this line to sit, it isn't sat quite right. So a little bit of tweaking on this hem and this seam line here. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. So there we go. One shirt dress. So there you go, the Kwik Sew 3555 shirt pattern, which is now a shirt dress. So I've made that shirt loads of times. If you've seen my videos before, I have made loads of them. There was a couple of slight amendments I'd made to the original pattern, but yeah, I really like that pattern. It's not too bad to make at all by the amount of shirts I've got. And turning it into a shirt dress, well, that was another experiment that I thought would work, and yeah, it has worked. I've learned quite a lot in the process of doing this, and I've really enjoyed doing it. A couple of minor amendments that I still need to make, possibly on this, the main one being that hemline, but other than that, it works quite well. One thing I didn't mention, by the way, pockets. And quite decent sized pockets as well. I didn't actually put stuff in them. What I've done is they're anchored in the top here. I'd made them high enough so that I was anchor them in on this seam line that I've got between the top section and the skirt, that waistline, which is really, it's a dropped waistline really, isn't it? It's not actually up here on my waist, it's quite low down, but that I like that. It's the way I actually envisaged it coming out. So yeah, all in all, a great make, a great learning process, a great project, and yeah, now I've got a shirt dress pattern as well, once I do those minor amendments. But yeah, all in all, an enjoyable project. So if you like this video, please do give me a like, click that button, subscribe, and you'll get notifications when my videos come out. Please do put comments if you'd like to put comments. What's your experience with shirt dresses? Have you ever tried to amend one project pattern into something else, and how did it come out? Yeah, so please do put your comments down below. I do love reading your comments, so it's nice to hear what you're up to and what you think. So thank you very much for your comments. So it's just left for me to say thank you very much for watching my video, and I look forward to seeing my next video. Bye!